Well, I'm gonna probably give you the most neutral comments that I can give you because any applicant that's coming here before has probably been burned by positive comments from councils in the past. So my suggestion is that the biggest thing for me has to do with the road and how it impacts the properties to the north. And if they're mitigate anything that could potentially happen. So I felt comfortable when Kevin was saying there will be no water drainage off this property to the north, because that's been a big issue to the properties in the north. As far as the concept goes, I have no problems with it that I can see at this point.
One question also.
Yeah.
Has there been any discussion with the neighbors to the north on what your plans are here?
No,
Okay,
we're still in the process of purchasing the property. And that's why we need to know where the road's gonna go.
yeah, no, I'm just surprised we don't have everybody in the neighborhood here.
Yeah. Well,
With
I
what
did that
happened on
count, too.
garages. I called too, but nobody's here, so
no, I've been out there a number of times, and it's really just that one house on the
Yeah.
corner. All the rest of the homes they're far enough away. Now, there's a good buffer there, so this particular home, it's right there. And it's,
when we did the garages, it was, a lot of people were far away and they all came. I mean, we had,
There's a lot of pavement there, though, and the
Yep.
water flow is downslope toward them.
that's true, I just,
To your point on garages too, doesn't that house in the, would be in the northwest corner that abuts up there where the road comes up? Isn't there a house or dwelling that's
Yeah.
really close up there too?
Kinda, but not,
The garage here.
No,
Or this
okay,
one?
that house does sit back a little bit. No, the one further to, yeah. So the point about, somebody said about cars coming out and lights, I don't know what that road's gonna be at that point. Is it gonna be?
It's gonna
the
come
ro-
down a little bit in that northwest corner, slightly, so it
The
actually.
road will actually come down?
Yeah, because we wanna kinda carve, there's a high point there, so when you look at Ultimate Road, you wanna end up filling the low bellies, and you'll end up kinda taking the top off the hill to get a better grade.
So do
So
you,
in that northwest corner, if there is a retaining wall, it would be lower on their property. You know, it would be,
So the road-
they'd be on the low side of the wall,
Yeah.
and then on the east side, they'd be the high side of the wall.
okay,
So theoretically, if they were driving north,
headlights would
there
shine
would
into
be
the light.
theoretically a wall, and I think that wall's probably less, I mean, this is my assumption from just all the conversations, that might be a smaller wall in the northwest than is needed for the northeast, but likely there's some sort of wall. If there's not a wall, it's a slope up at a 3-to-1, which serves the same purpose.
Right, okay. Thank you.
I guess I have one more question. I mean, I know we wanna try and figure out what we're doing here, and then the process after tonight's meeting, what goes with that? What can I go back and tell the owners?
Yeah, so we're trying to ask the council for some direction on the road for you. I think that's the most critical. And that will help inform the feasibility study that's underway. And so that study, I was just asking Kevin, he thinks it's, 4 to 6 more weeks, which will then be able to answer some of the more detailed questions about road. We'll take, if we don't have it, we do, I think, have the wetland delineation. So we'll have more information. In your packet, Hennepin County says the wetland's down, you can see it, and the northern location avoids that wetland, that's Kevin's point, but we now have a delineation.
oh, so
that we're working-
you've done work on this already.
There's been some.
So, yeah, okay, so let me take that all back about saving money.
So ultimately, if the council provides direction to you tonight, we will use that to finish the feasibility study, and then we'll get back together with you and kind of talk about what that is and what needs to happen with your project. So then you can come in with your plat and your site plan. And this is not a CUP, it's not a PUD, so it's a fairly simple project. in that sense anyway, obviously complicated for other reasons.
Yeah, I don't want one like this one over here.
Yeah, that's really complicated.
I don't want those issues.
But it sounds like we have one definite road possibility and one possible road possibility. Depending upon the wetland delineation study or what?
Well, so first you get your delineation approved, right?
Yep.
Then the next step is you have to approach them with a plan that says, I need to impact this wetland, and here's what the impacts are, and then that's a permit process. So you're gonna have to do some engineering, prepare plans, basically then request the right or the ability to impact that wetland. That's the permit review that might say, wow, that's a decently nice wetland. You must check these 3 boxes
Yeah.
to tell, and then we'll make a decision. Well, if there's an ability to build a road that engineering says is probably equal or safer, and it doesn't impact as much wetland or any wetland, they theoretically could deny the permit because you could build the road to the north. That's
Yeah.
the risk that we don't know until they get down the line.
Right, and right now it sounds like either the plan to the proposed plan to the left or the old city information plan to the right are the only 2 access points that would be ever considered by the city for being allowed on
Because,
Rolling Hills
yep, because
Road.
we control the access to Rolling Hills. Within our city, it's a local collector road, and for safety reasons, we wouldn't put anywhere else. So strictly safety reasons, that road comes up and down, and there's an intersection, so it's safety, sight distance driven.
Yeah,
And so we would only permit those 2 locations from that standpoint, right? And so you have these competing kind of policies. I feel confident that the north one would be permitted because if it impacts wetlands, it's gonna be less.
yeah.
And the rest of the whole area is wetland, so you're minimizing the wetland impact just by going north. So it takes that risk
Yeah,
of that permit out. Even I'm not saying there's not gonna be wetland or mitigation, but they're gonna be like, well, you mitigate it, you did the least impacts possible and you're connecting safely.
yeah. And I see the applicant's point that the road where it is in the map on the right wouldn't really be too feasible as it splits his property in 2.
The expert we've hired, he's very confident that the north is pretty much the only location that road could go. He's done them before, he's mitigated with them before, and
Yeah,
he's very confident that's pretty much the only location. It's not gonna go, they won't allow it down in the middle,
yeah.
and that's why it's drawn the way it's drawn. So, I know that doesn't mean anything, that's what we've been told.
Well, it means something from the standpoint of if that's the only place where a road could go, we just have to mitigate the impact to the people around us rather, around the road, that's all. Or just, or just say you can't develop here. I mean, that would be, we wouldn't do that, but you,
What's the tax base on that?
nothing. That's what I'm saying, is like, it's not a tax-driven decision, but, otherwise you just have to say, you have to have access to the property, in the name of a road. There's one place the road can go, unless they tell us differently. It kinda has to go there.
Okay.
Do you have enough information to go back
I do.
with? I think you generally have positive feedback from us. Except for Alan, he's neutral on it.
I'm staying, John.
I know. Teddy's gonna be neutral on it. All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Item 9A. But first, we have a public comment opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have a public comment opportunity on items 9A and 9D. We removed the planning commission appointment and the mass grading cost share agreement. At this point, Mayor, no one has stepped up to the podium, state their name and address, then if anyone's joining us online, you can press *9 or raise your hand, and we can recognize you. Mayor, at this time, no one is raising their
Okay.
hand.
I'm gonna close public comment, and we are at 9A, the 19-night recap.
We prefer a standing ovation, but this will do.
Wait
My
till
legs
the
are
end.
asleep from sitting.
Yeah, no doubt. Can we walk around the room a little bit?
I mean, as the recreation supervisor, I would encourage it, yeah.
Our steps in. Okay.
Really
Well, thank you, Pete and Jess, for helping organize it and put it together. It went real well. We appreciate that. I know you have things to say, so I'll turn the mic to you. I know you love the mic, so you have at it.
Well, first of all, thank you, Acting Mayor Bodema and council members, for letting us come and speak on behalf of the 19-night opportunity as a whole. It's honestly a really good time. We get to see the community come together. We get to see them interact with staff and council members and the PD, and it's honestly probably the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons why the community is as tight-knit as it is, because everyone gets to come together for one night and just have a really good time. I mean, I'm sure you guys get some positive feedback as well about such a good job you guys do here. So thank you for going out to the parties and visiting and connecting with everyone.
I get a ton of positive
A
feedback.
lot of good feedback.
Yeah, it's a very fun day from like start to end. And I guess thank you for the support of it. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for like being part of it. It takes the entire staff to make it possible. Everybody plays a part, and I feel that it really opened it up to have people come up, like talk to us outside of these wonderful meetings, and it's a wonderful thing. And plus, it is only possible because of the amount of support we get from the community and the businesses and everything else. So.
I feel like everybody is involved from, like you said, like the whole city.
Yeah,
And
it is.
sometimes people say, they talk about us, ooh, as if the city council has anything to do with it. We just show up and ride around in dump trucks or
It's
whatever.
supported by you, which
Yeah.
is very good.
So it's, the credit goes to you guys.
It really is the entire city and the entire community, between donations and involvement and volunteers. It takes a village, and that is no more true than it is on the first Tuesday of August. So as far as quantified numbers go, we had 10 neighborhood parties. We're estimating about 750 or 800 people in attendance at the city party. And as shown on the back of your guys' report, we got quite a few donations, so that really makes it all possible. But we would love to take any questions, comments, suggestions.
Can I read the resolution recognizing the 2022 19-night event and donation?
Go for it.
Whereas the City Council of the City of Corcoran, Minnesota does hereby find as follows. Whereas 19-night is a statewide event that is done to celebrate and strengthen neighborhood and community relationships in participating communities. And whereas the City of Corcoran supports the effort of the 7th Annual 19-night events on August 2nd, 2022. And whereas the Corcoran 19-night event consisted of 10 neighborhood parties and 1 city-sponsored party located at the Public Works facility. And whereas the success of this program is a direct result of support from the City Council, community volunteers, the City of Corcoran employees, the Northwest Area J.C.'s, the Corcoran Lions, and our local businesses and sponsors. And whereas the Exhibit A outlines the financial and in-kind contribution to the City of Corcoran to be utilized in support of the 19-night events. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Corcoran acknowledges the outstanding efforts by 19-night planning team, event staff, and volunteers, and the generosity of all donors, and graciously accepts the financial donations as listed.
There's quite a list.
I make a motion to accept and recognize the resolution recognizing the night-to-night events and donations.
Second.
Actually, yeah, there is a voting aye, voting nay. I don't think we actually have to vote on this.
We do have to approve donations
Oh,
via
okay.
resolution under state statute.
So, voting aye? Oh,
If-
all those in favor support by saying aye.
Can I ask one question before we vote?
Sure.
Yes.
What do we do to recognize all of these people publicly, other than this document? Do we send a thank you to them? Is there something that will come up in our community letter listing them, something to that effect?
Yes. Yes.
I
So-
think I haven't paid attention.
We do a few different things. We come and present to you guys recognize
Yep.
it through the resolution. We send them thank you cards, which are being printed right now.
Perfect.
And then we also include it in the newsletter that comes out in the fall. So it'll have all of their logos. In addition to that, we also show off their logos at the event, including but not limited to the photo booth. We have all of their logos on that, so that when people take photos, it even goes more widespread, as well as various signs.
It was alarming to me that the people thought that all of the expenditures for this is from the city funds and not from all of those posters that were all over the place. I had to point out, we're doing this because of all of this and the volunteers. This was not an expenditure upon us as a city. It's a lot of work and a lot of people. So I want to make sure we recognize each and every one of these people, and it sounds like you guys got that in hand very, very well. Thank you very much.
All those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Louder doesn't matter, Jack.
I only get one.
Let it be noted that Tom McKee did not vote aye. Thank you.
Appreciate
you.
it.
Great job, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And I would like to acknowledge those two individually as well, because they, not only did, staff put in some long days. And stuff
Yes.
leading up to it, but the work that they put in the months and weeks leading up to it is pretty unbelievable. So they really were deserving of the ovation that they got when they came in. They put a ton of time and work into it, and it shows when the event comes through every year, so thank you.
It's a very
And-
fun event.
And there
Thank you,
is.
guys.
Proud of you
Public Works
guys.
Did have was represented on the planning team as well.
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely.
Pat.
Yeah, absolutely, I couldn't be here. But yes, and they did a wonderful job hosting, and the place was perfect. It was somehow colder inside than it was outside. I don't know how it was, but no AC, but it was wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. The planning commission appointment is canceled. 9C is canceled.
Yes.
9D, labor agreement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council, if you'd like, since it was in addition to the packet that we got, I would be happy to run through a couple of the changes for you, so you know what we'd be
Yeah.
looking at with this.
Can I talk about what we did to
Yes,
come to this point?
would love for that.
So, Tom and I were the committee to help with the labor agreement, and we had multiple back and forths with the union. And what we wanted to do was, we wanted to have a continued good police force, and also make sure we get, as representatives of the taxpayers, the best deal possible. And it was very cooperative, actually, and I was impressed. There will be financial impacts, and kind of, it's worth saying that we did look at Medina, Buffalo, Rogers, Wright County, Maple Grove. Well, we looked at the surrounding communities, and our numbers were, we needed to show improvement or we would have a hard time recruiting police officers. And we do have a good team here, and we want to be competitive in that market. So there are changes. There aren't as many changes as you would think. But we think we did a good job getting a good deal for the city, but also being respectful to the police department and rewarding them and compensating them in a way that makes them want to stick around.
A lot of work. Thank you for doing
A
it.
lot of work.
Well, yeah, Jess and Matt did a really good job.
Thank you. Mayor, I would note that we do have someone raising their hand virtually. If you'd like to recognize them. So,
No, it's past time for.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hi, it's Mark Lant.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mark.
Planning Commission.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to point something out. With respect to the Planning Commission applications, I see that personal information such as addresses and phone numbers have been redacted. The problem is I can delete the redactions and I can see the personal information. So I think that should be corrected. Thank
Mark?
you, that's all I had to mention.
Thank you so much for that. We'll make sure to take a look at that and work on that for our electronic packet.
Okay.
Excellent. If you're comfortable, I can just run through the changes so
Yeah,
people
that's
can
cool.
see them. On page 8, there was a change to event pay under, it's highlighted in red.
Well, do you want to see the changes? Are you interested?
Yeah.
I figured y'all would,
Yep.
but I can't speak for you. I know these
Event pay
changes.
is a pass-through though, correct?
Event pay is a pass-through, so we do receive in funds.
Yeah, it should be noted to the city, there's no impact on our residents with that.
Yes, and we currently, we may look at changing the city fees to incorporate any increases in this, but yes, it is a pass-through. So that is the one change that was on page 8. On page 12 was a request by myself and Matt to change the educational incentives under Article 22. Currently, there was a difference in language between the handbook and what is in the labor agreement. So we added the areas outlining that you had to work for the city for a year and that you did have to pass the class. We thought that aligned our handbook with the labor agreement and seemed to make a lot of sense for everyone going forward. Yes.
Was there a conversation, if I may, Mr. Mayor, ask a question?
Yeah.
Was there a conversation about after that tuition paid, is there an agreement that they need to remain here so many years, months, hours, or reimbursement to the city?
So the city's handbook does require that, but
Okay.
the way that the labor agreement has been, it does not require that. So for any employees who are not in the labor agreement, they do have to retain for a year. That is not something that.
We don't have it in this.
We do not have it in this. And generally, if it's not outlined in the labor agreement, the handbook prevails.
Right. Typically, if it's something that's silent on, however, if it's a benefit paid, if there's not a recapture, it's probably, it's probably not something that can be included in there. And part of the language around this education incentives was really to get it as close in line with our handbook as possible, and get that language to mirror as much, but also not make it overly burdensome or a reduction in benefit or negotiating away a reduction in benefit in exchange for something else. So union was under the, kind of in line with our thinking that this is probably, what we did here was more cleanup than negotiating addition or subtraction of benefits. So what we've done is, since the contract did not address when payment would happen, this is how we've been administering it, is upon completion, you'll be reimbursed because it's the when is silent. So what the changes that we made were more clarifying rather than a.
No, I understand. I just, again, dealing with a labor agreement like this and such, private sector, we're gonna pay your tuition, but in some cases, you're gonna spend the next 4 years here, or you're going to pay back, but that isn't one of the conversations in this agreement, correct?
No.
Okay.
It's not in the labor agreement, it is in the handbook. So we've not had a case where we've had.
So the handbook supersedes this related to that?
We have.
No.
No.
That's what I was asking.
That would be,
Okay.
we'd have to cross that bridge when we come.
That's all right.
Yeah, we've not
Just
crossed
asking.
that, but we would have to see if we can make that argument. But our idea was to really just clean this up.
That's all right.
to Keep it as.
I'm good.
The next item that was changed is the uniform allowance under Article 23. It was an additional $25 a year, just with inflation and costs of uniforms.
That's been an incremental increase that's gone on for years, though.
Yes, it's similar to what we've seen in the past, so
Yeah,
we tried
so
to make it very,
Shouldn't be shocking for anyone that's familiar with it.
Right.
it should not be. The next article is health insurance. It's on the bottom of page 24 and on page, or no, excuse me, it's Article 24, but on the page 12 and 13. What we tried to do is to keep consistent with our practice of if there's an increase to cost for health insurance, to maintain that the city takes on a 70% portion, but the employee takes on a 30% in that increase. So just to keep consistent with that is the updated change for that. One item I would note on 24.4, we're going to have them take out the years 21 and 22, since it's not a year 21 or 22 change. That would be a request that we will have for the union. On page 14, the salary schedule is adjusted to outline cost of living adjustments and market adjustments. So 4% cost of living for 2023 and a 6% market adjustment for 2023. In 2024, a 4% cost of living and a 3% market adjustment. And in 24, 4%, or 25, 4% COLA. So those would be the changes to that. And then on page 15, there is a change to FTO pay, which is field training officer pay. So if you have to do training, there's some additional compensation for that. It's a change of 25 cents. We've over time seen small incremental changes to that, but no percentage changes. And then on page 15, Article 31 is a change in the dollar amount for 2023 and 2025. So that is a change on that. And then those are the changes that the group is proposing. I would note that, as I said, there are a couple clerical errors and dates within the contract. If it's amenable to council, if we want to approve that with the ability for myself and Matt to finalize and make sure that the clerical errors are corrected. So that would include some date changes for the years 2020 to reflect the years of the contract, which are 2023 to 2025, and then They did not include an updated salary schedule, so we would want to make sure that it's consistent with, they have the percentages in there, we just want to outline the actual amounts.
Along with the dates in Article 35 for duration, just updating it to the current
Yes.
expectation, current dates, so.
I'll make a motion to approve
Second.
with your clerical changes.
You got a second?
Oh, all those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? Any nays? All those opposed? 4-0.
Thank you all, and thank you for serving on the committee.
Yeah, yes. On to new business. There's another public comment opportunity. And we have one item, and it's 10B.
Yes.
Nobody here, anybody online?
Anyone online wishing to speak can press *9 or click reactions and raise your hand, and we can recognize you. We do have a couple of folks online, but no one is currently raising their hand.
Okay, I'll close public comment opportunity. As far as 10B goes, go ahead, Jess, I guess you
Sure.
could ask. or
So
explain.
St. Therese is finalizing their construction project, and one of the items that they have requested is to find out whether the city would be a bond conduit for them as they finance the project. So they have asked if we'd be interested in that. They'd like to provide some information. We've not done bond conduit financing in Corcoran, so it would be an educational kind of work session, but also to get understanding if there's any support to act. So right now we have scheduled work sessions for the 22nd and 13th of October, so September 8th would be the date that we'd be looking to do that if council is amenable to that. So we'd be looking at 5:30 September 8th.
How big is the fee that the city would likely achieve if we agreed to do it?
When speaking with me, they said that it was between 10 and 15,000 is what they generally see. It could go up as high as 50. I have not talked to other cities, and I'd want to confirm that before and understand what other cities are seeing to make sure that we're getting a fee that is,
I'm not sure it's worth the staff and council time with everything else that's going on that we're pushing you guys to do, like me with park dedication fees. I would say it's not worth our time.
I think there are very few issues I would fight against harder than this one.
So I would move that we decline.
I would, well, do you want to make a motion?
I just did.
I would second that.
I'd like to get some more information, to be honest with you. What is the process? Is it, they're asking us to use our bond issuance rating?
so it's related to bond issuance rating. There's an agreement that we put in place that requires them to pay back the bonds. So I would not propose anything that would have us having any sort of requirement to have any ability to pay back those bonds. So it'd be creating the bond agreement, and then they do the sale issuance. So it's really about bond counsel. It's some time with their bond counsel that they have to put up, and then the fee. So
But they would also they would get a lower interest rate based on our credit rating rather than theirs. And then we would potentially suffer damage financially if
something goes wrong.
their payments.
That I am not an expert on, so I would want to make sure bond counsel
But
answered that correctly.
there's a reason why there's a reason why their credit rating would be lower if they hitch their wagons to us. And so it's because we would be part of the issuance, and if they didn't make
We'd be the
payments.
conduit.
We'd have to use general obligation dollars to pay it. We'd have to go, basically,
I don't know exactly where, I mean,
would we
the
have to
lending
repay?
institute, huh?
We'd be on the hook for the.
Yeah, we'd have to be.
There's the agreements I would need to have them in front of us before I could speak to what our responsibilities were, but from what I've heard from other cities and places is that there's limited liability. I just, without having someone who is a bond counsel, a lawyer
Well,
financed in the.
banks don't make loans without recourse if you're on they're not the organization gets something from us, and we are on the hook for something. Otherwise, why have us be part of it?
It's a low reward proposition, so I would say let's leave that off of our Pareto chart of priorities at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree. I definitely wouldn't want to spend a whole work session on it. If they want to provide literature to the staff, so staff can be educated for future, so be it.
I don't want staff to spend their time reading it, unless staff feels like it's wise, and I don't.
I mean, if we vote 4-0 not to have a session on it, then I doubt if they're gonna try to convince you to
Yeah,
convince
I mean,
us.
you are the.
Well, let's vote.
You all are
It's
the.
3, I
folks.
might as well go 4.
All those in favor of
You
not
could just decline
scheduling
it, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You don't
Yep,
even
you guys-
vote.
Yep, you guys, I had a motion and a second to decline having it.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right.
And,
All those
But we didn't even need to vote on it.
No, he didn't, but,
no, it just.
and even if you went
formalized
3-1, I wouldn't call the session anyways.
it. Thank you, all. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Your Highness.
I'd pull that card. Tom can do it when he gets back. I'm not gonna do that. Not because I think they're bad. I think it's such an abuse of government and funds to a separate special organization. Like it could potentially open up to, all kinds of conflicts of interest and stuff, and I never want to do that.
You know, I could see it if the city is hinging its growth on something, right? If we were absolutely dependent on this facility coming in, otherwise we were gonna go down the tubes then, but we're not. I agree with you.
All right,
Or if it was a joint venture related to building a new city hall or something, and it just tied together so much more.
well, if we built a new city hall, we'd use our own bonding and our own credit rating. We wouldn't need to do conduit finance.
I just go back to the previous city I was with and building of the community center, those kind of things, that
Oh,
whole
yeah, if it
structure.
attached.
There was benefits, and it helped both sides very, very much. So I just,
And they can certainly work with other cities.
yep,
I'd still
if that's-
fight that one too.
it would have to be very advantageous
Okay.
to us for me to
Yeah.
go that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page.
yep.
11A, staff reports, active planning application.
If there are any questions, certainly let us know. Otherwise, we have the most planning applications we've ever had in a year. I'd note several of them are individuals. There are several individual, so on their own property, solar
Oh, okay.
issuances, but we're not busy.
You got enough to do?
Yes.
Thank you for your extra patience with me tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Are you, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Session closed.
Thanks.